Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stock Durbar with Team William India. I hope the presentation is visible and the voice is clear. Just a couple of confirmation. Yes, good evening, Jayant. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Hitesh, for the confirmation. Yes, Josh. Okay, okay. So we'll wait for some 30 seconds. A lot of participants still joining, and then we'll start with Nifty's current setup, some macro views, some sectorial part, and then within the next 10 to 15 minutes, we'll start with your queries. Krishna has a comment, sir, market not good. Yeah, market's a bit choppy to a bit downtrend. Yeah, good evening, Ganesh. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, okay, let's start today's session with Nifty 50 setup. So, overall, Nifty is forming a down trending channel, if you have seen over here. So, I think those who are following Mayuresh on Twitter, he has also tweeted this one. Nifty is forming this down channel, and so it found support near the low. So 800 के around Nifty ने support लिया 16,800, which was quite a possibility because यहाँ पे September low also, if you see, that is somewhere around 6,750. Okay, this down channel low was somewhere around 800 level, and also we have this correction low from where the 800 we got support 850 around. So ideally it's a good area to bounce back from, and still on the downside, the broadly 16,800 is the level to watch out for. And exactly if I say, then 822, 16,822 is the correction low from where we started day one counting. So this pink candle over here, इसका low है 16,828. So this low is important to hold because this was the day one of a rally attempt. क्योंकि उस दिन low बनाया था, but closing was in the upper half of the day's range. So the market recovered during the intraday and it closed near the upper half of the day's range. So it was the day one, then Tuesday was day two, yesterday was day three, Wednesday. And so we changed the market status to a rally attempt, RA. So yesterday evening, you guys might have received the email, the notification that the market status has been changed to a rally attempt because we got 3 days. जब भी market rally attempt में आता है, the important part is the follow through day. The first thing you look for is the follow through day from the day 4. Follow through day is 1.5% gain on a volume higher than the previous session. So this is what we are looking for. On the flip side, we also look for the key moving averages. So the green line over here is the 21 EMA, exponential moving average. That is somewhere around 17,300. And this is important. जब भी market एक uptrend में चल रहा होता है, whenever the market is going in an upper channel, something like this, okay, or whenever the market is going through a down channel, वो down trend वाला बन गया है trend, तो the market status is currently not down trend and we are in a rally attempt, but वो पूरा एक channel तो अभी भी down है. The reversal has not happened much stronger. In these kind of scenarios, 21 EMA, that is the exponential moving average, or you someone might be considering 20 DMA, 21 DMA, then also that's fine. No major change for that. But yes, these levels are important in the current market. So firstly, on the higher side, 17,300 is what we are looking for to reclaim that level. Then we have this 200 DMA, the black line, which was giving a good support in past, but the market has breached it and it's almost 8-9 sessions below the 200-day moving average. So that is 450 or 460, and then 650, that is the 50 DMA. So 300 is the first one, then we have 450, and then we have 650. So these are the three key levels for Nifty. And I think above this 650 level, we will also break above the channel line. और जब भी हम downward channel line को ऊपर पे break करते हैं, there is high probability of a good momentum in the market. But it's still far, दिल्ली अभी दूर है. So let's see how the market behaves. But importantly, first, अगर आप ब्रॉडर रेंज अभी देखो तो यू कैन से 300 टू 800, जो 16,800 to 17,300. This is the broader range for the Nifty technically. And follow through day can change the things, and we will be in the market as soon as we get the follow through day. So there is lot of updates on macro front as well. So yesterday it was very confusing one that what will Fed deliver, because एक तरफ inflation control करना था, दूसरी तरफ already higher rates है, plus the banking crisis that is hitting. So all the things were in the club, and I think the Fed went for a very moderate way. So there was some expectation when Jerome Powell delivered his speech last month in the Congress. वहां पे एक्सपेक्टेशन बिल्टअप होना शुरू हो गया था कि 50 बिप्स का रेट हाइक होगा. उसके बाद ये सिलिकॉन वैली बैंक वगैरह का क्राइसिस, वी सॉ दैट, एंड देन देयर वर एक्सपेक्टेशन दैट the rate might be not there. I read a couple of reports where some of the very big brokers were telling that there will be 25 bips cut. I don't know what was that, but yeah, there were expectations of a cut also, 25 bips. But overall, in last 2-3 days, the scenario was built कि हाँ 25 bips का rate hike होगा, 25 bips rate hike, and that what Fed delivered. So it was in line with the expectations. Comments भी अच्छे थे. ठीक है, ग्रोथ में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम था, लाइक 23 और 24 के लिए ग्रोथ माइनर कट हुआ था, बट ओवरऑल 25 अगर लॉन्ग टर्म देखे 23, 4, 5, 3 years growth, then that was intact. So no major sharp fall due to the growth projection and so, and even like the comment was very positive that policy rates have almost peaked. अभी पॉलिसी रेट पीक हो गया, उसका मतलब ये ले लेते हैं कि अभी इकोनॉमी खराब है, एंड दैट इज द केस. थोड़ा ग्रोथ मॉडरेट हुआ है ग्लोबली एंड स्पेशली इन द यूएस एज वेल. ओके, सो एक वो चीज होता है कि जब भी रेट पॉज होता है उसका मतलब अभी ग्रोथ पे थोड़ा इम्पेक्ट आया है, एंड फेड इज पॉजिंग द रेट. द सेकेंड थिंग दैट हैपेंड येस्टरडे, वो येलेन का स्टेटमेंट. एक तरफ पावल यहाँ पे 25 बिप्स अच्छी कमेंट करके थोड़ा मार्केट को सपोर्ट मिल रहा था. यू माइट हैव सीन द वॉलेटिलिटी इन द यूएस मार्केट येस्टरडे नाइट. इवन दोज ऑफ यू आर ऑब्जर्विंग एसजीएक्स, आई जनरली डोंट प्रिफर टू डू दैट. नॉट अ आइडियल वे टू look at the market by looking at SGX every night. But yeah, after Yellen's statement that they won't be providing insurance on all the deposits, so that again spooked up the market. और वहां से फिर से एक रिवर्सल आया जो कि मार्केट ऊपर जा रहा था यूएस का. So it was a very volatile move yesterday in the US market. In today Indian market also अपने यहाँ भी वही हुआ. It was a very good session, I think. In fact 200 के अराउंड निफ्टी आ गया था. ठीक है, बट फिर से बिफोर वी क्लोज द सेशन देयर वाज सम सेलिंग and we close near the day's low. This is something I don't like. Closing near the day's low, not an ideal situation, but it has happened. So let's see how the things goes. Other thing important is that जो नॉन हाउसिंग रिलेटेड इन्फ्लेशन है यूएस में वो स्टिकी है. हाउसिंग रिलेटेड इन्फ्लेशन अभी इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. तो इवन द क्रेडिट स्विस का एक इश्यू था, बट आफ्टर द डील विथ यूबीएस आई थिंक नाउ देयर इज सम रिलीफ फॉर दैट सिनेरियो. बट स्टिल जो यूएस के छोटे बैंक्स है, द स्मॉल यूएस बैंक्स, वहां पे सिचुएशन अभी भी वो स्टेबिलाइज नहीं हुआ है. द न्यूज फ्लो इज कंटिन्यूसली कमिंग, सम बैंक, सम न्यूज कमिंग. सो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली ऐसी मार्केट में टेक्निकल फॉलो करना सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. हैव योर रूल सेट. आपके स्टॉक्स में स्टॉप लॉस लगाओ. ठीक है, मार्केट में भी टेक्निकल लेवल को फॉलो करो. दैट इज द बेस्ट थिंग टू डू व्हेन देयर इज लॉट ऑफ नॉइज. करंटली देयर इज लॉट ऑफ नॉइज इन द मार्केट. तो यूएस की ये बैंक का, वो यूरोप का ऐसा चल रहा है अभी. एक वो भी डिबेट है कि क्रेडिट स्विस का अभी रिस्क ट्रांसफर हो गया है. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि रिस्क खत्म हो गया है, तो अभी ट्रांसफर हुआ है, तो वो ट्रांसफर होके क्या होगा रिस्क का. सो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स आर गोइंग ऑन, बट द बेस्ट पार्ट इज to follow the technicals of the Nifty as well as the stocks that you are holding or you want to hold. Now let's quickly take a few key sectors, and then we go with stock queries. Nifty Bank, it was impacted a lot by the poor banking sentiment globally. ठीक है, आज भी जो मेजर लॉसेस थे that was coming from the Nifty Bank only. In fact, 39, I don't remember exact level, but 39, 600, 650 के around थोड़ा weaker close आया overall Nifty banks का, and the banking stock was dragging the Nifty. In fact, it was down almost 1%, and I think it has again breached the 200-day moving average. जो 2 दिन वो 200 के ऊपर रहा, अभी वो फिर से ब्रीच हो गया है. सो यहाँ पे भी टेक्निकली अभी थोड़ा डैमेज है बैंक निफ्टी में भी. इंडियन बैंक्स का वैसे देखो तो एसेट वगैरह काफी स्टेबल है, सो देयर इज नो इश्यूज एज फार एज द इंडियन बैंकिंग सेक्टर इज कंसर्न. बट एक सेंटिमेंटल इम्पैक्ट जब ग्लोबल बैंकिंग सिस्टम इज अंडर अ जिटर, and the liquidity crisis might be the next thing to come. In these kind of situations, there will be some pressure. The ripple effect will be there on the Indian economy, Indian banking. अगर यूएस ग्रो नहीं होता तो obviously वो IT sector grow नहीं होगा इंडिया का. There will be some impact on the employment in the India. Overall IT companies के growth पे impact आएगा. ठीक है, फिर बैंकिंग पे इम्पैक्ट आएगा. तो वो रिपल इफेक्ट तो रहता है छोटा मोटा, तो उसका तो that will be there if there is some major issues in the global market or the global economy. But overall IT sector also, again, like there was a hope, एक डबल टॉप जैसा बना दिया यहाँ पे. देयर वाज अ होप कि हाँ अभी ये एरिया पे पूरा लेट मी नोट कि हाँ यहाँ पे अभी आईटी ने अभी स्ट्रेंथ गेन कर लिया, बट अगेन it was not able to sustain the strength and it breached key moving averages. फिर से वो अपने जो दिसंबर जनवरी में लो बनाया था वहां पे आ गया. And in fact, if we go below this level, if we again go below this 28,000 level, then the bottom of this 26,100, 200, the IT sector might again test it. Other, if we see, so lot of price hikes in the auto, and this was very resilient sector. In fact, तो यहाँ पे जब जून 2022 में उसने 200 डीए में रिक्लेम किया था, उसके बाद तोड़ा नहीं था 200 डीए में. so that was very resilient, but recently it breached its 200 DMA level, and in fact it found good support at 12,000 level. So let's see if this support can hold. So now I think for all the key sectors, the recent last week low is very important. In fact, you can say the Monday's low is very important for all the sectors to hold. So if we fall below Monday's low in Nifty or any other sector, then that might be a bit of negative sentiment for the market. If you look at metals, here also some momentum due to the pricings in the metals in the global market, but overall the trend is lower. The demand pickup is not that strong and the pricing is not gone that higher. थोड़ा इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है, कुकिंग कोल के प्राइस भी थोड़े कम हुए, उनकी वजह से जो मेटल प्लेयर्स हैं उनके, स्पेशली द स्टील प्लेयर्स, उनके इनपुट कॉस्ट अभी कम होंगे. बट दैट रैली दैट यू लुक फॉर इन द मेटल with overall improvement in demand and improvement in price, that has not been seen even after the China's reopening, because China की growth story भी अभी इतना strong नहीं है. So at least for next this 1 year, due to लास्ट ईयर उनका कोविड की वजह से काफी सब बंद था, अभी ग्रेजुअली रीओपन हो रहे वो लोग. उनका भी रियल एस्टेट में ओवरऑल अभी देखे तो जो पिछले 5-6 साल में उनका ग्रोथ हुआ था बिफोर द कोविड, इट इज नॉट इन द हैविंग द सेम ग्रोथ टू ड्राइव द मेटल डिमांड. To look at the FMCG sector, which is mainly driven by the domestic guys, the domestic consumption, that is holding well. So overall, अभी volume growth, I think I discussed last time कि volume growth इतना नहीं मिला है last quarter में, but the good part is जो उन्होंने price hike किया, उनकी वजह से एक price led volume growth मिला है. ठीक है, overall sales growth बढ़ा है due to price, but जो volume uptake आना चाहिए, अभी आप आईटीसी, वरुण बेवरेज ऐसे 2-3 को निकाल दो ना, तो वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ इतना नहीं मिला है. बट ओवरऑल इन्होंने प्राइस बढ़ाया है ड्यू टू इंक्रीज इन रॉ मटेरियल. एंड वन अदर एडवांटेज इज दैट रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट अभी थोड़ा कम हो गया है. So it has improved the margin as well. So overall, the domestic demand जो अर्बन में है उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. अर्बन डिमांड इज स्टिल होल्डिंग वेल, बट रूरल डिमांड पिकअप नहीं हो रहा है. आई थिंक अभी मॉनसून का भी देखना है कि कैसे अल नीनो इफेक्ट आता है नहीं आता. दैट इज अदर इश्यू. उससे पहले अभी जो करंट क्रॉप है उसमें भी काफी सारा डैमेज हुआ है. अनसीजनल रेनफॉल इन लॉट ऑफ पार्ट. आई थिंक इन दिल्ली देयर वाज रेनफॉल, इन मुंबई एरिया, इन गुजरात एरिया. तो बहुत सारा अनसीजनल रेनफॉल हुआ है, इसकी वजह से भी इम्पैक्ट होगा. तो जब तक अभी जो रूरल इकोनॉमी है वहां से सपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगा तो ट्रैक्टर सेल्स, टू व्हीलर्स जैसे कि हीरो होंडा है उनका सेल्स, हीरो मोटरकॉप का, ठीक है, एफएमसीजी कंपनीज का ओवरऑल वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ, ये सब रूरल डिमांड जब पिकअप होगा उसकी वजह से ही आएगा. करंटली अर्बन डिमांड इज ट्राइंग टू होल्ड द थिंग्स एंड दे आर एबल टू होल्ड द थिंग्स वेल, बट फॉर अ better tailwind you need the rural demand to pick up. So now let's start with your queries. We already have our Rajshekhar and Vakar, my colleagues, in the room, and our head of research, Mayuresh Joshi, is there. So we'll try to answer as many as query as possible. But please do not keep on repeating the queries, because to scroll back, it's very tough to again look at the questions. So it's better you post it once. We will try to answer as many as possible. That's never a problem. We take it on random basis. There is no specific selection criteria. We try to take it in a line, but sometime we might miss it. Okay, so let's start your queries.
Rushit, Vakare.
Yes, Vakar.
Can I take some queries?
You can start.
Okay. So we'll go with Cummins India and ABB. Capital goods companies first. Cummins India, and then
I think we can start with the previous queries. There are a lot of them before that. So
there are some queries. Okay, I didn't see.
Okay, let's start with Cummins. I will continue.
Okay. So talking about Cummins, I mean the previous webinars as well, in terms of the capital goods section, we have always talked about the infra push from the government, plus the private players also kicking in. If you look at from the William O'Neill perspective, you can see all the ratings from India, all the boxes ticking in for the company. EPS rating very good at 87, RS rating very good at 85, buyer demand very good at 85. A plus, and your RS line is moving higher, making blue dots, so which is always a good sign for the company. Plus, the number of fund holding for the stock is also improving, which is a really good sign. And if I'm not mistaken, Rushit, even the stage count is not high, right? Yeah. So, stage 3 is still fine. Stage 4 or later is what we consider as higher stage pieces, which are prone to failure at the moment. And considering apart from the market condition, I mean, this stock has been resilient. If probably the markets would have been in confirmed uptrend, or probably the buy switch would have been turned on, this stock would have been in the model portfolio if the markets would have been supportive. So currently, what Rushit discussed and what we've been seeing as well for the last couple of months, markets have been remaining choppy and markets have not been supportive. So there are few pockets of strength, but I mean, you need to look at the overall portfolio level. And similarly, when probably markets come back to a little supportive level, but during the meantime, we can always have a look at these stocks, study these stocks, and study the patterns and study the fundamentals of these stocks, and always keep them in the radar when probably the right time is around the corner for you to pitch, come in. Next is ABB India. Similar story to what we were talking. I mean, capital good, infra, strong push from the government if we talk about it. And similarly, you can see as a sector, as a group, they are moving very well. And that's why even I took the queries back to back, probably to understand that these stocks are moving in a pack together with super ratings in terms of the price trend, buyer demand, EPS. Similarly, you can see fund holding for the stock improving as well. Uh, on the right hand side of the base, you can see your RS line is moving higher, which is really good sign. Plus, the stock is forming blue dots. That is, RS line is hitting new highs, which is also a good sign. The stock is just 2% to pivot, which is a good sign that it can anytime break out on above average volume. And on the right hand side of the base, you can see good accumulation happening on the stock. That is big volume bars, big blue volume bars happening as well. So overall, this industry pack or this sector is probably moving very well in terms of the overall scenario. If probably just the market comes back to a little supportive zone, maybe above the 200 DMA and the 50 DMA, then these stocks can easily be looked at. The queries before this as well, right? Let's take L&T and then Triveni Turbine. Just selecting queries at random. Again, a capital good player, you can see that pretty much all the three, if you look at the charts, pretty much in line with in the last 3 to 6 months movement. If you see, it's pretty much in line. Even with the huge market cap and the huge fund holding, the fund holding for the stock is also improving as well. Last 3 to 4 quarters for the result has been also very good. Plus, again, this stock is forming a flat base or consolidation base, which is also a good sign. Again, if you look at all the three stocks, the common point is that your RS lines are moving higher. Your RS line is also creating a blue dot, which is a good sign that is the RS line is hitting new highs. So overall, this pack has been moving, and it's good time to probably understand the fundamental drivers and the business drivers for the stock, plus understanding how the charts have been behaving, how the stock has been behaving in terms of the key moving averages, in terms of the stage count or uh, the basis that they are forming. So overall, it's a good place to be in. Probably again the emphasis come back to the M factor. Once the M factor comes back to in a supportive mode, really good space to be in.
I think
So,
there is
yeah,
one the comment on HAL. So already, I think government is not planning, but they already planned, and the OFS, and we have seen the sharp drop in price today. So in fact, HAL reached its 50 DMA, and there was a gap down opening for the stock because the floor price was a bit lower for OFS, and that's the reason why the stock was down. Okay, so let's take NH. The first query was about the Narayan Hridayalal. The stock is forming the stage 3 cup pattern, cup with a handle pattern, and it's a good setup for I think a couple of hospital stock, especially NH and Max. These two hospital stock, even if you and just for a second, if you look at the Max Healthcare chart, then this is also similarly forming stage 3 base. And if you see the price volume action, it's quite similar. So both of these hospital stocks are doing well. Even NH is focused on a lot of acquisitions as well, and they are expanding. And if you look at the revenue growth over the last 9 months for NH, that has been good, more than 20% on a YOY basis. Their EBITDA growth is decent. The margin is improving. I think the occupancy level is higher. Plus, the way they are expanding, the number of bed, the average revenue per bed, footfall होता है patient का, ये सब नारायण हृदयालाल plus Max. I think the expansion plus current fundamentals both are decent as far as these two stocks are concerned. So overall, uh, a good one, but need to wait for a clean breakout. So what has happened that it's generally अगर वॉल्यूम देखें तो कंपैरेटिवली लोअर है, just 50-60,000 shares trading daily. But if you look at the RS rating, it's high, not a problem over there. Let's go to weekly chart. Yes, it is forming a very tight area. So every time it goes near its 200 DMA and moving and finding support over there. So you need a clean breakout. I think 820 ke upar. So third stage ka cup base ban raha hai on a weekly pattern. So you need a clean breakout above this level. And once you get that, then there might be some momentum at that point of time. But yeah, overall not a problem for the stock. It can be kept in the watch list. If you are already holding the stock, then I think 50 and 200 DMA, these are very important levels. And I must say for NH, this 40-week moving average, right? This black line on the weekly chart, that's very important. So if you're already holding the stock, then look for this level. But if you want to take fresh entry, then breakout का वेट करना चाहिए. Plus the market should improve, like market should be above 50 DMA, or you might have get a follow through day before that. In these kind of scenarios, if you see a breakout, then that's perfect for NH as well as Max Healthcare, these hospital stocks. There's query on NCC. This has been an outperformer in this market. So in every market, there are always some outperformers. So Wakar was talking about the capital goods, the infra push by the government. So this one is beneficiary of that only. There's a huge infra push by the government, especially the highways, the housing. These two sectors have been very good in the infrastructure. And NCC, the fundamental has improved over the last few quarters. That's very well. Even the fund holding has improved. You can see over here, the fundamentals have been superb over the last few quarters. And the base formation is also good. I think it has formed a cup with handle. It gave a brief breakout over here, but I think due to market, it was not able to sustain. फिर से यहाँ पे 50 DMA तक pullback लिया, and once it took a pullback near the 50 DMA, it found a good support near 50 DMA. And this is an element of strength. So we discuss a lot in our some advanced strategy webinars about the element of strength. So whenever the stock has completed a base formation, and at that point of time, there is some small pullback, and it finds good support near key moving averages. It can be 21, it can be 50. So that is an element of strength. And from there, we have got a very strong rebound. And yes, after the rebound, the stock is making new highs even when the markets are choppy and relatively in the downtrend. So I think today only, yes, it made a fresh high. So it is a bit extended from pivot 10%. So you can wait for a pullback to 21 DMA. So this will be a perfect one, 21 EMA pullback or the 50 DMA pullback. And once it rebounds from there, then it will be the ideal time to get into the stock. Otherwise, fundamental technical growth story, everything looks good for NCC, but I think some time needs to be given for a small pullback to enter the stock according to O'Neill methodology, because it looks extended. Okay, next we can see. So for CanSlim level 2 session, I think it's not uploaded on MarketSmith website, but we are conducting this Saturday. We have the webinar on this Saturday. So you can contact our team and get the entry into the webinar. So now there is question on TCS and Infi. So as I was talking about the IT sector, right? See, yesterday Jerome Powell came up with the Fed's estimate that 23 or 24, the estimate might be a bit, the growth might be lower than what was estimated in the December. But the 25, the growth will be rebounding back. And overall, if you see 3 years growth, then there is no major change in a long-term perspective. But for IT sector, for specifically for Indian IT sector, the BFSI sector in US and Europe, that are very important, because on an average 30-35% of revenue of each major companies comes from the BFSI sector. Okay, as we are mostly in the service side. So for TCS, for Infi, whenever we see that these small US banks are getting hit. If the crisis intensifies, then there might not be a major budget on the technology spend that can come up in the near term. Plus, the growth story of the country, of the globe as a whole, is not that good as of now. So, this will have an impact on the IT sector, especially the TCS, the NP. There is some, change. There is change in the MD and CEO also at the TCS. So, there was that news also coming up. But the strong group of Tata, so there might not be impact of a change at the head, but overall it's technically damaged. It's below all the key moving averages, need some time to repair the damage. And one thing I didn't like about the TCS chart, you guys might have noticed this well, continues falling on a higher volume. See, now what happened last 2 days, there was some recovery. It is holding for last 2 days, but look at the volume, it is low. So whenever the stock is falling, the volume is high. Whenever it is trying to hold or trying to move higher, the volume is low. So you want some up days on a very good volume, RS to improve and key moving averages to reclaim. So that's where you will get some confidence in TCS. Similar chart in Infi. In fact, it has not stopped even in last 2 days like TCS. So it is continuously falling and the fall is on the higher volume. So the correction is on the higher volume in the IT stocks. So give some time, I think. See, there are two philosophies. One is about the long-term investing. You go for bottom fishing and those things. But at Canslim, at O'Neill, we don't go for bottom fishing because you never know when is the bottom, right? If you look at the weekly chart of TCS and NP, you will every time these are the quality stocks of the market. So every time when they fall even 2-3%, there is always a temptation to buy that. Yeah, bhai, isko abhi kharidna hai. So you get tempted to buy the stock, but you never know when is the bottom. It might be somewhere around 200 DMA, which was first you thought, then again it went to 1350. फिर से again it is forming. This is the fourth time it is coming in this 1350 1400 zone. So you never know what happens. So the best thing is look for the strength in technicals. Let the global market sentiment scenario improve. Let the technicals of the market as well as these stocks improve. And once they comfortably trade about this 1600, 1700 zone where it is finding multiple resistance and they are above key moving averages, that is when you can aggressively have these things, add this to your portfolio. If you are already having the stock in the portfolio, maybe the recent lows can be kept as a stop loss.
Rushit, Vakaria, can I take some queries now?
Sure.
So, can you give me the chart for Aegis Logistics? Yes, thank you. So, looking at Aegis Logistics, as you see, the stock is around 29% from the pivot at the moment. So, any fresh entry into the stock is probably not possible at the moment. More like a profit booking the zone if one looks at from the ideal William O'Neill criteria of 20 to 25% from the pivot or from the entry zone. Overall, if one is holding on to the stock, very good stock if you look at from the ratings as well. Price strength very good at 88, buyer demand good. RS, the good thing that I see is that RS line is still holding up, RS line is still moving higher. The fund holding for the stock is increasing. Rishit, can you show me the volume bars? So overall, with the volume as well, I mean, I don't see any major problem. If you see like post the breakout as well, I mean, there has hardly been a fall on above average volumes. Mostly the stock has went up on above average volume, so that is always a good sign. So one, if someone's holding on to the stock, can hold it and probably keep the 21 DMA, or if a larger risk appetite is there, probably keep 50 DMA as the exit point, and if 50 DMA is getting reached on above average volumes, can then think about exiting or maybe partially exiting the stock if the risk appetite is higher, considering one to be in good profits if the entry was around the ideal pivot during the previous breakout. The next I'll take is Tata Chemical. Okay. Okay, so the previous breakout for the stock wasn't successful, and if you look at try to relate it with the fund holding as well, you can see fund holding for the stock decreasing as well. So one, the fund holding is decreasing, that is your institutional holding for the stock, or the smart money from the stock is kind of exiting. And similarly, you can see around the pivot as well, there is some big volume bars happening, that is huge churning happening around there, and probably from there you can see the stock declining. The recent decline, however, has been on lower volume, but if you look at it from the technical perspective as well, the stock is trading well below the 50 DMA and the 200 DMA. So considering that, and plus 70% from the pivot as well, of below the pivot as well. So needs a lot of catch up to do. Always at William O'Neill, we had said that avoid bottom fishing, avoid stocks that are going down, take stocks that are in strength. So that is, let the stock to show strength, and then probably you can have a look at it. Should you mind taking a couple of queries?
Okay.
Yeah.
Raj, you there? Okay, I will take PFC. So overall, a good story about the PFC. The technical setup has been good. The stage one breakout was there, but I think there was sharp fall for some continuous 8 sessions. But it found support at 50 DMA, as you can see over here, which is good. Like if whenever the stock is in a good uptrend, and if it finds support at 50 DMA, that's fine. So no fresh entry suggested at this point of time. But if you see it rebounds from 50 DMA and it's back to buy zone, that is above 161.8, then the fresh entry can be taken as far as the O'Neill lens is concerned. But if you're holding the stock and if 50 DMA is breached, then it's a good time to book the profit or cut the losses. So ideally, if you have been holding from a long time, then there might be good accumulation of profit, because it's been in an uptrend since last 3-4 months. But if you have taken the position recently and have not exited during this fall after the pivot breach or the 21 DMA breach, then you might exit once the 50 DMA is breached according to O'Neill rules. Overall, the growth story has been good. The power sector has been booming. Even the dues have been getting clear very fast. So government's focus on the power sector is very good. And the bad debt problem is now not that intense as far as the power sector is concerned. And that's always good for the power finance corporation. Yeah, overall a good setup, but the fundamental technical setup is good. Need a rebound and re-breakout for a fresh entry, and 50 DMA breach. It's good time to exit the stock. I can take KNR construction. Again, it's related to the government, infrastructure, capital goods. So this has been the story, I think. If you look overall broadly for last 6 months, last 1 year, I think since the last budget was the first to lay this blueprint and a confirmation that the government is not going to leave the spend as on the infra, and their capex is going to increase. So for KNR, there has been a good order wins in the recent times. In the last couple of months, the order is good. Their order book position, not a problem for KNR. And they are also entering into the railway and metro segment, which is something very good. So now this railway also, not only the highway, the housing, but when we talk about the infra, the railway infra growth is booming in India. Look at the Vande Bharat Express. I was just reading about the TWL, Titagan Wagon, and then their orders from, so ABB is also beneficiary of the railway infrastructure. The metro, lot of scope for the metros in India, and the Vande Bharat Express, the new high-speed rail network that India is planning to come up in the next few years. So in all those sectors, the railway infra, the new railway stations, so everywhere. So along with the highways and the other housing, this railway infra is also good, and KNR is trying to jump into that. Plus, they are already a good player as far as the highway is concerned, and overall their order book is fine. So fundamentally, it's good. Some delay in some of the executions. Now, if we talk about the technicals, it has been forming a flat base type of structure, not an ideal one according to O'Neill. So that's why we have not got it marked over here. But there was a good uptrend over here from 200 to 278, and now it is moving sideways in the range of, you can broadly say, 235 to 280. So 278 से ऊपर नहीं गया, 235 से नीचे नहीं गया. This high low is not breached any side. So once we get a move about this 275 280 level, so that's when you can confirm a breakout for KNR construction. The number of fund holding, the fundamentals, the ROE, not a problem. The growth over of the sector is not a problem, but you just need a technical breakout over here. Last month there was a chance, I think in the March starting, Feb ending, एक chance था कि breakout दे दे, but it failed to break out again, and it reversed from that 280 level and was down somewhere around 8 to 9%. So give it some time, let the technical breakout happens. If you are already holding the stock, then these are the few downside levels to watch out for: 243, 237, 235. If these levels are reached on a higher volume, then it's better to cut losses or book profit.
Rushit Vakare.
Yeah.
Take some queries. So can you give a chart for IRCTC? I mean, talking about not FY23 but FY22, the stock was really in momentum, and post that you can see the stock not being in flavor currently as well. I mean, with the only good part is that institutional holding is still holding up for the stock, improving, but the overall ratings is not holding up. The RS rating is going down, your buyer demand is going down, and similarly, it is likely to happen that I mean, when you see it from the technical perspective, then the stock is pretty much below all its key moving averages. Anytime it's trying to reclaim its key moving average, move ahead or move above the key moving average, then you can see some kind of fall happening that on above average volume. You can see this fall on above average volume. I cannot mark in the months, but from the 742 levels, if you can see, it breached its 200 DMA continuously. 4 to 5 6 sessions on very high volume. So considering always sell off like these are signs of distribution, and this is not a good sign for any stock. So anytime you need to watch out for signs like these are signs of weakness for any stock. And similarly, when this kind of sell off has happened, then the stock needs to do a really lot of work to probably come back in action or come back in strength to get back the investors' attention. So levels probably would be like, I mean, even not the 200 DMA would be pretty much an early entry because it was very jittery or choppy around those levels. So around the 774.9, that is 775 level, that is the previous high, is what I'll consider like if new highs are not made and the RS line doesn't start trending higher, and then till then it's not a good setup to watch out for. The other we can look at is Britannia. So earlier, Rushit was talking about the domestic demand in terms of the FMCG sector, and in terms of when a little bit of slowdown is happening, FMCG acts as a defensive sector, and you can see major FMCG stocks, the FMCG sector as a whole also holding up, and currently as well, you can see on the price front as well, the institutional holding is increasing. Last week quarter results are also good, and probably the stock is also holding up. even during this correction phases, the stock is just around 8 to 9% off highs, which is a good sign. Rushit, was the stage count? So again, the stage count is 1C, that is stage one. Again, a good thing. But at the moment, if you see the stock is in a downward trajectory, which is just not a good sign. But as you can see, the depth of the base is not that deep. Probably the recovery will also may not take that much of a time if the stock is able to hold up on the base as well. So if the stock, the base low doesn't get breached, then probably in the coming time, probably the stock can reclaim its pivot in the coming time. Good stock to watch out for. Good in terms of the fundamentals, in terms of the business drivers as well. So good stock to watch. The other we can look at Sera. So Sarah is like one of the beneficiaries of the real estate sector, not just the new housing boom, but also the renewal in terms of refurnishing of the houses as well, in terms of the sanitary ware that the company produces. So the last 3 to 4 quarter result for the stock has been really good. Overall rating for the stock, EPS rating is very good at 87. Price strength is good at 83. Buyer demand is also good. And as you can see on the right hand side of the cup base that the stock formed, you could see good accumulation happening. Plus, even the your RS line was hitting new highs. RS line moving higher is always a good sign. Currently, the stock is trading around the pivot, and which is good. Like I mean. The breakout was successful and the stock didn't move back to its base. It's holding above the base, so which is a good sign. But I mean, probably if the markets would have been a little more supportive, then easily a good stock to watch out for. Anyone holding like at the previous breakout or the current breakout could still be holding in, can keep like probably the 50 DMA as a good reference point for their stop losses. Or I mean, we always have said that 7 to 8% stop loss is what is the ideal stop loss for any stock.
Thanks, Vaka. So now there is few questions which are not stock specific that we have missed. One is from Ganesh Vasudev. In fact, he has asked many times about how to consider EPS and RS. So generally, see, according to O'Neill, EPS and RS greater than 80 is the best scenario for the stock. So when you have a YOY growth in the sales, in the earnings, right, the EPS rating is above 80, RS is above 80, the probability is very high. We have discussed it many times that in market it's all about the probability to lose the least and win the most, right? So that's how you deal with. So whenever the ratings are very good, the probability always increases. So yes, the EPS and RS rating of 80 is very crucial. But two things that you need to understand over here is, firstly, the RS rating is important, but what you also need to look at is RS line. So O'Neill always looked at RS line also. It might happen that sometime the rating is, let's say, 70, but over the last 1 month, it has improved from 50 to 70. Then that's a good improvement, right? From 50, it has come to 70 in 1 month, and it is still trending higher. Something like this over here. This is Sera mein hua. For just an example, what has happened in Sera, right? So it was forming the right side of the base, and the RS was continuously improving. In second scenario, you are talking about the EPS. Sometimes it happens that the EPS might be some 50, 60, and due to some good couple of quarters, the EPS is increasing. And if it is now above 60, 65, 70, so if it is improving, the all other things are in place. And in that condition, you might go somewhere here and there, but broadly, yes, 80 or somewhere near to that level or higher is very important, and we still stand by that. But sometime due to these reasons, like if it's upward trending EPS or RS, then only we might look for the others. But that's a good point you brought up. that quality stock is important. The higher ratings are important. So Yash has a question: when can we expect a new bull market? Will it happen when Fed in the US finally starts to lower the rates, or at least stop hiking them? What is your estimate of a new bull market? So we don't estimate for a bull market, but we look for the technical support. We look for how the bases are building, right, in the leading stock. Especially, I talked about the follow through day in the first 5 to 10 minutes. That whenever we see that there is a strong action, Nifty reclaiming its 21 DMA, EMA, and the 50 DMA plus a strong action of 1.5% gain on a higher volume. So that's where the probability of bull market starting is higher when you see these kind of actions. So not looking at the news, not trying to predict about the PEs and when what Fed will do, because even I am sure even the Fed is sure or the world is sure what will happen the next, because they are also clearly saying that whatever we will do it on the basis of data. What is the inflation data, what is the job data, that's how the Fed will react, that's how the European banks will react, and that's how the Indian RBI will also react. But now there is a probability that rate hike pause ho sakta hai. To lower the rate, it might take some time, because if you look at the dot plot, even in 2024, 23, there is no major rate cut you can see. But even also in 23, 24, at least till 24 end, the rates might be higher. It won't be down more than 1.5 to 2% from the current level. So there won't be a case that rate is again going to 2% in next 1 or 2 year. Yes, in there can be some scenario building up, that in that scenario, Fed has to take that action, that they will be cutting 50 bips, 75 bips at one go, the way they were rising. But in ideal scenario, that won't happen. The second thing to understand over here is the growth. So now whenever the Fed starts to pause the rate hikes, okay, that will only be when the inflation is trying to come under control. Demand kill. So inflation ke liye you need to kill the demand at a certain point of time. So it can't be very much soft landing. थोड़ा तो soft से ऊपर होगा. कितना hard होगा, that is the secondary thing. But yeah, it can't be very soft landing, and it is not. So these are some scenarios you need to look out for. But overall, if you see the technicals improving, the stocks, not only the index, okay, index is a one part, but second part is the stocks also. If you see some stocks reclaiming the key moving averages, breakout हो रहा है अच्छे basis से, the RS is improving, the earning forecast are improving. You read the management commentaries of this quarter. Let's say April के result में you read the management commentary, and if that is coming out positive for the next year. So these all things you need to club. But yes, overall, if you see the technicals improving, that's when you look for a bull market. So one more question, a bit similar to that does it feels like bottom in making? So I think very similar to that. The global equity market gave a positive reaction yesterday after the Fed rate hike of just 25 bips and the comments from the Fed chair. But I think Janet Yellen's comment on the banking sector was a bit that they won't provide guarantee for the deposits of all the deposits. That was a bit taken negatively by the market. So these are the looming issues. It's not that only the inflation is now the problem. Now this banking crisis is also a problem. That will it get settled? So if it gets settled in the near term, then it's fine. But if the small banking, you can see the crash in the small banking stocks price ekdam gir gaya hai. If you see some more problems over there, and then the focus will not be only on the inflation, but it might shift on these banks as well. Next month, good or bad, you need to look at the technicals, Krishna. If you see the key moving averages, at least first thing you need to look for is the 21 EMA. If we Nifty reclaims 21 EMA and sustains above there, then you can say that it might be good till the time the level holds. FI, Jayant has a comment that FI is a highly short on index, lifetime high. What may be its implication? So something positive, there can be a huge short covering, which is expected in the market since last 4 5 days. So this discussion has not been fresh one, but last week also this was the discussion that the short is at the COVID level high. जब COVID हुआ था तब इतना shorts हुआ था. It's a lifetime high shorting from the FIIs, but yeah, you can't predict something from that. But one thing is for sure that if we are able to hold above a certain level, let's say again 21 DMA, then there can be a short covering rally, is what expected looking at the numbers, and that rally can be a bit extended if the shorts starts getting covered. Okay, let's again take few queries and then we close the session. Vakar, can you take a couple of queries and then we close
Sure,
it?
sure. Yeah, we can take few queries. We are already near the 5:30, matlab, the 1 hour mark for us. So, Dasari Sham Sundar ji, we try to take queries on a random basis. I mean, sometimes it can happen we take queries on a LIFO basis. So I'll try taking queries from the upside of the chat box now. Just a second. So Rushit, give me West Coast paper and just trying to line up some queries. Okay. So West Coast paper, one of the most prominent paper players in the country in terms of uh, when the earlier paper sector rally was happening, was one of the key beneficiaries then. And post that, when the unlock trade happened and everything, now when things have started to like, there's been a little bit of slowdown across the sectors at the moment during the Q2 and the Q3. You can see this stock also correcting. And similarly, the stock at the moment is forming stage one consolidation base. And but overall, the fund holding for the stock is very really good. Ratings have continued to remain decent. RS line at the moment is not near its peak, but at 83 levels is still good. The stock is well above, is trading above the key moving averages, which is a good sign. But as you can see on the right, you can see some kind the proper accumulation that should happen on the right hand side of the base is still not happened. So probably you should wait for the big money or the smart money to kick in terms of the big volume bars probably come back in. And the levels that is the previous highs of around 664 levels is one the key should be watched out for. That is what we should consider. The other crafts automation, Mayur Unicode is after that. Uh, I mean, a good stock in terms of on the fundamental basis, if you look at from the last 3 to 4 results, fund holding for the stock is good as well. But in terms of the technical parameters, if you see, the price strength for the stock has been deteriorating. Your buyer demand at E is very bad. Why you can see on the right hand side, you can see the sell off on big volume bars, not just your uh, key moving averages such as your 200 DMA, your 50 DMA, 21 DMA got breached, but they got breached on very high volume. So something like that is never a good sign. And this in today's session, the stock did try to reclaim its 200 DMA, has reclaimed its 200 DMA on above average volumes. But the sell-off that has happened will take some kind of repairing to be done in terms of from the price and the volume front. So maybe considering the sell-off that has happened, needs to be above the 21 DMA at least to be considered back uh, from our lens at least, and maybe a re-breakout or a re-successful breakout would probably ensure much more confidence with the stock. The next we can look at is Mayur Unicotus. Uh, Overall, a good fundamental story. The stock is forming a cup with a handle base. On the right hand side, the volumes had initially dried up, but post that you could see some big blue bars coming in. So that was a good sign. Currently, the stock is forming the handle part of the cup with a handle base, and till the point in time the breakout doesn't happen, and the breakout should probably happen on good volumes. Why? Because if you look at from the buyer demand perspective, that is volume bars coming in, the volumes hasn't yet kicked in. So I mean the three things should tick in for the stock. The volume bar should come in, your RS line should move higher, and the breakout should be on above average volume. Just your fundamental profile and everything remaining good is one, but your price volume action should support the overall story of the stock. Rishad, you want to take one or two quick queries before we end it, and then you can end it out.
Sure.
Yeah, just take a query or two, and then we can end it out. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take sugar one, Perry, and then Reliance, and then we close the session. But you can always email us the queries if you have any. So it's not like if the session is over, your queries won't be answered. You can email to us and we will answer as quickly as possible. So EID Perry, technically damaged. It has breached its key moving averages and trying to form a base. Like you can see now the volume is dropping when the stock is going lower. Previously also 480, 490 it found a good support. So let's see if it finds a support again. But a fresh entry not suggested till the time it repairs the technical damage and it moves higher. Even if you can see on the weekly, it is below the key moving averages. So yeah, according to technical, you need to wait over here. The other one, we can take Reliance. The same thing over here. The stock has been damaged technically. It is below key moving averages and it had made a low of around 2200 on Monday. So 2180 in fact. So if you are holding any position, then 2180 level important to hold can be used as the stop loss. On the flip side, it has continuously faced resistance at 50 DMA over here also, third time over here. So once it reclaims its 50 DMA, that's when the stock's technical improvement can be considered, and then the 200 DMA and a fresh base formation will be the next thing to watch out for. But on the higher side, the first thing to look at is the 50 DMA, because couple of time it has happened that 21 DMA is not that effective for Reliance, so you might not consider it as. So it happens sometimes for few stocks. You will see that some levels are very important, while some moving averages are not that crucial for that stock. So for Reliance, 50 DMA is very important. So till the time it is not reclaiming its 50 DMA, one needs to be very careful. Bottom fishing never suggested at O'Neill. You never know how low this one can go. But yes, once it's on 50, above 50 DMA on a higher volume, that's where the confidence might start to increase in the stock. So that's it for today's session. Thank you for joining. I hope it was useful to you and most of the queries were answered. So if we still missed a few, you can always write an email to us and we'll respond it as quickly as possible. So Ganesh, mostly we answer all the queries. So it's a rare case that you might not have received the mail. We have a strong system for that. So you will get a response mostly within the 24 hours.